Hello, everyone. Welcome. What a lovely welcome that was. I'm really looking forward to this session. I think it's going to be really beautiful. There's three extraordinary men here on the stage with me who are all going to share stories of resilience and hope and struggle, but also three men who've found very creative and interesting ways to process their stories and their histories. So I'd like to start by introducing Edel Rodriguez. You may not know his face, but many of you are sure to know his art. He is a Cuban American artist known for his potent political artwork that's graced the covers of The New Yorker, The New York Times, Time magazine. Would you like to hold some up?
Oh, yeah.
He's also written books for children, and he has a book that's about to be launched.
There's this one.
A book that's about to be launched called Worm, which is a graphic memoir, and we'll circle back to the meaning of that title a little bit later. Next to Edel is Agus Nur Amal, whose stage name PM To. He was born in the Indonesian province of Aceh, and he's an extraordinary spoken word and shadow puppet artist, and you might get a little taste of that. He's also a graduate of the Jakarta Arts Institute's Performing Arts School. And of course, at the end, we have Behrouz Boochani, who many of you will know. For those who don't, he's an indigenous Kurdish man from Iran. He's a journalist, an artist, and an academic who sought asylum in Australia in 2013, only to find himself detained on Manus Island for 6 years, before finally finding freedom and living in New Zealand. So hope. It all comes back to hope. Edel, I'd like to start with you. And I'm wondering if you can just tell us a little bit about where you grew up, where in Cuba you grew up, and the sort of political climate of the time.
I have a mic.
You're Madonna'd.
Where I grew up in political, I just want to address one thing because I don't really get emotional. I try not to for many reasons. But when it was announced that it was brought here by the United States Embassy, and I went, whoa, okay. Because for the last 7 years, I was doing work that was very much political and sort of taking on the who was in charge, and I was very afraid during that time. And to be here brought by the U.S. Embassy, it just makes me realize what the United States is. That they celebrate someone that just speaks freely, and it really means. So I started like crying. Well, what's going on? So that means a lot to me. So I grew up in Cuba, in a small town south of Havana, in the 1970s, and I wasn't really aware of what was occurring at that time. But it's what we call the Cold War. And there were a lot of people that were not happy with communism and were trying to leave those places. So you have East Germany, East Germans, Berlin, people crossing barbed wire to get to the other side. In our case, we were trying to find a way out, but there was no way out. And the only thing that happened was in 1980, there was this boat lift that occurred, and that's how we left Cuba and went to the United States.
What did those closed borders mean for the reality of life?
Well, I mean, Cubans have a saying. We have the unfortunate, the sadness of having been born on an island that you can't escape. You know, it's very hard to go anywhere. And what that means is that you have to fall in line with whoever is in charge or whatever the system is. And if you don't, you get on their bad side, and then your life becomes miserable. And it's a very slow process, almost that you don't see it happening, but it starts process one step at a time. Your children are taken out of school. You're not giving a work permit. Things like that. They don't necessarily put you in jail right away, but it eventually leads to that. And that's what I write about in this book, is the whole process of what causes a family to leave their homeland. a family that was very happy where they were. But there are these little small, minuscule events that eventually make a family. Parents decide to put their kids on a boat. And I think that we don't ask that enough. We don't ask it here or in Australia or in the United States. Who are all these people that are coming and why are they here? We just say they want something. They want something from us. But you don't take enough time to ask why are you here? Why did you put your kids and risk their lives? Would any of you do that if you lived in your own land? Would you put your kids, leave everything behind and head to a land where you don't even speak the language? So there has to be something that makes people do that more than just money or a house or whatever. It is you're scared of something and that's why you leave.
Of course, people for a long time, people couldn't come back to visit either if they had left, or no tourism. So were you getting any word at all from family and friends who'd left and gone to the US?
We had one family member, an aunt that had left in 1971. And what happens is someone makes the first leap and then you see, okay, they're doing okay, they're safe, they're learning English, and then you get enough courage to do it yourself. So it's always a series of steps. It takes years to figure out that it might be worth the risk. And you're always balancing that, is this freedom worth the risk? And that is the main conversations that families have all the time.
I'm going to come back to your story in a bit, but I just want to go now to you, Agus, and if you could just tell us a little about where you grew up and the political climate in which you were growing up in Aceh.
Yes, I'm grow up in Aceh province. Yeah, at that time, Indonesian was in a political regime. Around 1990, while I'm coming back to Aceh after I graduate my university, I came from village to the village to collect the story, the oral story. Then I see the people seeing me very suspicious at that time. Wherever I go, the people seeing me very suspicious. I asking by myself what happened. I asking them, but nobody want to tell what happened. Then I understand at that time the government was held a secret operation to kidnap every rebellion. Every night one rebellion, they kidnap from the home and then lost. And nobody want too brave to tell what happened. And at that time, I, as an artist, want to kind of functioning myself to the people. I see and I think what I should do at that time. Then, actually, the news or the television was very controlled by the government at that time. So then I built the television. I want to show you later. The fake television, for performance, so the people can come in, the woman can come in into the television, and we create our program. And from this television, then the people really want to speak and brave to speak what happened on their village at that time.
So it's a form of truth-telling through theatre.
Yes.
You were providing a device where people could tell their stories that weren't being heard in the mainstream.
Yes.
What kind of stories were people telling?
I create a program where what I tell the live event, live television live, So the people want to say anything, they want to speak anything, they are free on this television. Because the news at that time was not really representative of the people, not really represented what happened on the village. So the people tell what happened on the village. For example, when the newspaper on the morning tell there are the contacts, arms contacts, 10 people dead, but the people say in this television, not 10 people dead, 25 people dead at that time. So this is the television for the people to speak out.
Can you just give us some context around what the conflict was about? It was the Indonesian government coming in to suppress the Free Aceh movement?
Yes, yes. Because Chinese rebellion start from 1976, and then the government start the secret operation from 1990 until 1995, the very secret operation, and then the second operation, and the third and the fourth, and until finish when the tsunami came to Aceh on 2005.
And that's a whole other story that Agus has also done a lot of work in. We'll also circle back to that later. But Behrouz, I'd like to throw to you now. And again, I'm sure most people in the audience know your story, but there are likely to be some who don't. So can you just explain where you are from and why you had to leave?
Yeah, thank you. I born in a village in west of Iran, in Kurdistan, and so that time it was a war between Iraq and Iran. So I born in middle of that war, and the place that I born was a war zone as well. So I just grew up with war, but later I was accepted by university in Tehran. I moved to Tehran, the capital city. And from there, I engaged with Kurdish movement. And I can't say that I left Iran because of language, because Iran is a country with at least 8 languages, but unfortunately, the only language is formal, and it's a language of media, government. Education system is Farsi, so my language, Kurdish, I think in that part of Kurdistan that I come from, is the most assimilated part of Kurdistan, and we are losing our language. So in my generation, suddenly people, I don't know how, they just decided to forget about Kurdish language. And I and some of my friends, we started to establish a magazine to teach people to respect the language and teach people how to write Kurdish, how to read Kurdish. And but we were aware that they will target us. And we published that magazine, I think, 2 times. Then they came and they arrested some of my colleagues. And they just put pressure on us, and then I had to leave.
What kind of pressure were they putting on you? I mean, were you fearful for your life or for...
Yeah, so people who look at the dictatorship system from outside, they think that always they come and arrest you and then they execute you. It's not all the time like that. I think most of the time they just isolate you in the society, that even you cannot find a job, you should struggle with poverty. They discredit you in the society, in the community, and also they question you a lot. So you always feel that you are under control, and then they make you tired.
How long was it that you were thinking about leaving before you left?
I just had like a month. Yeah, yes.
Quite quick.
Yeah, because I really didn't want to go to prison, because of course this dictatorship system is for everyone, but in that part of Iran, in Kurdistan, it's more risky and dangerous. So anything that we do in Iran in terms of like cultural activities, they consider it as a threat against national security. So now that I'm talking with you, there are many Kurdish like teachers that they are in prison. So many writers, artists, all around the country, but in that part of Iran, in Kurdistan, they even, language is a threat because the whole country is established on Persian, that we call it Persian supremacy. Yeah.
Did you have to keep it secret that you were leaving?
Pardon?
Did you have to keep it secret that you were leaving? Or were you able to openly leave?
Yeah, I was in Tehran, so through some friends, I met a smuggler, and I think smugglers are quite smart people. They know how to help you to get out of the country.
Did you discuss it with your family?
Not really, and just on the phone, I say goodbye. Yeah.
That must have been hard.
Yeah. But I'm not a very family man.
You're not?
Yeah.
Edel, I just want to come back to your book and the title of your book, Worm.
Mm-hmm.
What is the meaning of that word?
Well, the word worm, and one thing I like about, two things actually I like about it. I came up with the title, 10 years ago, and it never changed. I met with one publisher, and she says, well, about the title, do we want to rethink it? I said, no. They wanted to do something like A Boy from Havana or something. And because it's unappealing as a title, right? It's unappealing, but that's the idea. I wanted people to understand it is unappealing, and it is unappealing to be called a worm. So what Fidel Castro did is that he labeled anyone in the country that was against the revolution a worm, someone that is is underground, eating from the system, and not contributing. And he would say this in his speeches. He has one speech where he says, now to all the parasites and all the worms, you'll be confronted by men, not by little boys. That's his famous speech. That felt to me like the proper. And the other thing is I drew that also about 10 years ago, and it's now on the book cover. But listening to him about the government and dictatorship, there's many similarities between us, It's almost like there's a playbook for dictatorship, which is isolate people, make them feel unwelcome, take them out of school, happens in Cuba, don't give them work, so you have a lot of people that are against the government in Cuba end up being farmers or in the field. You don't ever get to a level where you can go to university or anything higher because they don't want you to. They don't want anyone that is against the government in charge of anything. So there's a lot of commonality between the three of us, even though we're all coming from different places.
This story of the Mariel boat lift is one that's very new to me, I'm ashamed to say, because it's the most extraordinary story. But can you just explain what that was and how you were part of it?
It started with about 10 people took over a bus in Havana and crashed it into the Peruvian embassy, the embassy of Peru, seeking asylum. When they crashed in, the doors were open, so everybody from Havana just ran into this embassy seeking asylum. And at some point, Fidel Castro was going to attack the embassy, and the ambassador stood at the gate and said, "You are not coming in here. This is Peruvian property. We are going to take care of these people who've sought asylum." And then what the ambassador had was a problem. How do I get 20,000 people off this island? I promised them that I'm going to take them somewhere. So between him and a businessman in Miami, they came up with this idea of a boat lift, and they pitched it to Fidel Castro. And Fidel Castro went, "Oh, okay, I'll allow that." And his idea was to allow the boat lift and then take everybody out of his prisons and insane asylums and LGBTQ, anyone that was gay, and put them on those boats. So he saw it as an opportunity to empty his prisons. So he allowed it. So that was announced on the radio. My family in Miami heard about it. They immediately went down to Key West and hired a boat, a shrimper boat, to go to Cuba and pick up the family, and they had a list of about 27 family members. And then that began the process where we got picked up at our homes. We were taken to a detention camp for about a week. All of that is detailed in here. What happened was the detention camp was a place to sort people, family, embassy, and prisoners. And all of those people were in a camp. So it created a lot of problems, and the military got pretty heavy-handed there. And eventually we made it to our boat and were able to leave.
And how many people were on your boat?
It originally was just supposed to be 27 family members, and it went up to 100. So it's a boat full of 100 people, and the military would show up to the boat and with buses of prisoners and people directly from insane asylums, and just say, you're going to take these people. And the captains, if you complained and said, I'm not taking these people to America, they would say, okay, then you're not taking your family either. And they would pull the family off the boat, and those families would be sent back home, and they would get beaten and spit upon, and their houses would get, by then your house was already confiscated by the government because you had said you were leaving. So you had nowhere to live, so it created a lot of problems. 2 years ago, I was in my hometown. I went back to visit, and I went into my third grade teacher's house because I love her. I always go back and see her. And this time I walked in, and I see 4 school desks in her living room. And I said, teacher, what are these desks doing here? And she goes, you don't know what happened to me. I was going to leave when you left in 1980. I got all the way onto the boat, and when they brought prisoners, the boat captain didn't want to do it, so they pulled me off the boat and sent me back here to our hometown, and they never let me teach again. So I've been teaching kids in my house since then, So that's what they do. They punish you. They don't necessarily jail you, but they just make your life progressively more miserable.
And do you remember much about that boat trip as a kid? You would have been, what, 9?
Yeah. I mean, what happened is I had all these images sort of recorded in my head, and that's why the whole book actually is it's a graphic novel. So it's all illustrated with the images that have been in my brain since childhood. About my big memories were the detention camp, because I've never been in a detention camp before. So that created a lot of memories, and then the boat trip, and then finally, after all that, when you arrived in the United States, it was clean, there was so much food, it was quite a big difference.
One of the common themes that you all have is that you have used art as a way of processing trauma, or processing your past, your histories, your stories. And Agus, you have done that very much as a way to help heal people who've seen extraordinary conflict, and then of course had to deal with the tsunami. Can you just take us back and remind us of the impact that tsunami had on Aceh and the people?
I think when the tsunami happened in Aceh, it's the top of the complicated problem in Aceh. Before the tsunami was arms conflict, almost 15 years, and then tsunami happened in Aceh. Many people at that time not also lost their husband as a tsunami victim, but also from the conflicts. And it's very traumatic time on that time, yeah. When I come from the village to the village, from the refugee camp, from one refugee camp to other refugee camp, by bring my television program, and the people, very much of them are the women, really want to coming into this television. Sometimes they are not telling anything, just silent and then crying. And come out from my television, Agus, I am happy right now. My hand was not hard anymore. So sometimes the woman bring their child and speak to the people. They speak everything they want to speak. And sometimes the children doesn't agree with their mother come into the television because it is not usual the women come into the public in Aceh, yeah, their children say, "Mother, come out, come out, come out." No, I want to speak. I just want to see the audience. So this television very effectively to express themselves, yeah, because they have no media to express themselves. They also have no time, I think, yeah, no time, no event to express themselves, to express their problem, their feeling, their loss of feeling, and anything. When I came with this television, and the people know this is the fake television, yeah, oh, this is the fake television. I want to come this fake television. So, just want to make the funny for every people at that time.
Did you just set it up, like, did people have an audience? Were they talking to people? Did people gather around to listen to the stories?
This participation performance, yes, so the people can come, can be reporter, can be cameraman, and can be the host on this television. Spontaneity theater.
It reminds me of, I don't know if anyone's heard of the story of the phone box in Japan that was set up after the tsunami. Have you heard of this? When people used to go who'd lost people in the tsunami, and they would go and they'd pick up the phone in the phone box and have conversations with people that they'd lost. It's the most powerful story. Maybe you could show us your television. Have you got it down there?
All right.
Oh, you have it.
I am going to bring this. Yeah. Ya, boleh. Iya. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I have to put this down, yeah? Yeah.
I think are we going to get a demonstration?
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Were people ever afraid of talking honestly?
Pardon?
Were people afraid of talking honestly, of saying things that they might get in trouble for?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
But they spoke anyway.
Yeah, this is the TV Eng Ong. Yeah, we call TV Eng Ong. What is TV Eng Ong? TV Eng Ong is just Eng Ong. Yeah, Eng Ong, like the frog at the night. Yeah, Eng Ong. Yeah, wait a minute. I have to put this one here. And anyone want to? Where is my box?
Here on the table, behind the flowers.
Yeah, this one. Wait a minute. This is for...
I imagine...
Anyone want to be reporter by... Yeah? Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I think you put this backwards.
You are a reporter, and I need another one as a cameraman. You are reporting by using this bottle as a microphone and cameraman. Anyone? Yeah, good. Thank you very much. All right. This television will start by my singing, yeah? Dung daga dang daga. I hope this working well. Dung daga dang daga dung daga ding dang dung daga ding dang dung. Daga daga dung dang dung daga down dang dung daga dung dang dung. Dung daga down down dung daga down down daga daga dung dang dung. Dung daga dong dang dung daga dong dang daga daga dung dang dung. Daga daga dung dang daga daga dung it is not working well. It's okay. Dung daga dung daga dung daga dang dang dung daga dung dang dung. Dung daga dung dang dung daga dang dang daga daga dung down. Wow 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 wow. This is TV Eng Ong, the fake television. This is very real interactive television in the world. You can come and join, and I can come out from this television. Yeah. Dung daga dang dang dang, taga daga dung, taga daga wow 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 wow, dung wow 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 wow. Yeah. Now our program are live streaming. Yeah?
Live stream.
Live streaming. I want to contact my partner in Ubud, Bali. Hello. What is your name? Alex. Yeah, Alex, can you report me what happened in Ubud right now? You can stand up, Alex and cameraman. Put your camera on. Yeah.
We are live on the scene here in Ubud this morning, where for some reason a large cult of people wearing lanyards have descended
Yeah.
to hear the wisdom of people on live TV.
Yeah. Can you interview someone behind you?
I'm here this morning with my esteemed colleague whose name is Lila. Lila, tell me, how does it feel to be here this morning?
She's great.
The vibe here on the scene is that people are, and I quote, happy to be here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lela. Yes. Thank you very much. Now, this is time to close this program. Dang daga dang daga dong daga dang dang dong daga dong dang dong. Daga daga dong dang dong daga dang dang dong daga dong dang dong. Dong daga dong dang dong daga dang dang daga daga dong dang. Wow 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 wow. Yeah.
Oh, that was wonderful. How many of you thought you were going to sit here and laugh in this session? Can we move this?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Okay.
Behrouz, I'm conscious of you sitting over there, and I'm going to come to you, but I just have to ask, Agus.
Yeah.
Did children engage with this
Yeah.
as well? And I'm just imagining that must have just brought such a lightness if you were bringing that kind of humour after so much trauma.
Yes. So the people know this is the fake television. I'm the first presenter, and after that, the people will come as a presenter or making their joke. I can go anywhere while they make their performance. This is very participation performance. Yeah. The first day, I am a leader. The second day, the children especially want to create their program. Agus, we are going to make our program, please. And it could be a week or sometimes 10 days in one village. I make performance on the afternoon and sometime at 8 p.m. Whatever the people want to perform, please. That's the idea of the TV Hang On.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And Alex, props to Alex for stepping up.
Thank you very much, Alex.
You should be up here. So a sharp left turn to Behrouz and to Manus Island. Many of you will know that Behrouz spent many years reporting from detention. After a while, you became a bit frustrated with the lack of effect that your straight reportage was having. As a way of trying to process your trauma, what medium did you turn to?
So first I should say that TV is not a fake TV in my perspective. The fake TV I witnessed in Iran when the government established a TV to humiliate our language and culture. So that's why the assimilation happened. So that is a true TV. In my perspective. So in Manus Island, actually I don't look at my work as a work for like reaction to trauma. I don't look at my works as like a healing or reaction to trauma or a collective trauma. I was using literature and journalism to challenge the system, to expose the system and fight against the system. So, but definitely, I as a prisoner, in the end, I survived through my writing and my work. But my work was I just use it as a weapon to challenge, and that is my perspective towards my works. But of course, I use different kind of artistic language to work, and one of I work as with cinema as well, and video installation and theater. So I use those mediums as well.
Tell us about Chalka, because there's such an interesting story around that and around that word and what it means. Chalka was a film that Behrouz worked on. Tell us about that and what the meaning of the word Chalka.
Yeah, the film Chalka, I made with on my phone with my Iranian friend Arash Kamali Sarvestani. So Chalka was a bird in Manus Island that was a native bird, just live in Manus Island. So you cannot find that bird in other part of Papua New Guinea or around the world, just in that island. And that bird is like an identity, is like a symbol of Manusian identity. But in the same time, Australian government established a solitary confinement when they wanted to punish some of the detainees. I was there as well. They named it Chalka, and that was they really disrespected their identity, and that shows the mentality of this system, the colonialist mentality of this system, that they just banished people to Manus Island, used that land as a cage, as a land of torture, and they didn't listen to local people. And it's quite interesting, it's like a classic version of colonialism as well, because we know that the Europeans who went to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, on that time they were saying that we discovered these places, but you didn't discover it. People were living there. There was civilization there. So they treated people in Manus Island like that it seemed that no one lived there. But 40,000 people were living there, and they were angry about what Australia was doing. So in the film Chalka, we put this to the Chalka as a beautiful bird, as an identity, alongside an ugly Chalka, which was that prison. So in that film, we created a space for local people to share their ideas and show and say that how they are angry about this. And to be honest, when I was in Manus Island for many years, the media, the humanitarian organizations, they really didn't include Manusian people in the discourse, in their fight. But they were a part of this, and their island, their community was damaged. And I tried to include them in my work. And in that book, in the second book, I think we have at least 3 articles only about Manusian people and how that policy impact on them. So, I mean, Chalka is important in my perspective because it is the only film that we have that shows inside the prison camp and also include Manusian people. So, yeah, I like Chalka probably more than my writing. Yeah.
Did it have more of an impact?
Yeah, Chalka was in on that time. It was in many festivals, like London Festival, the festivals in Australia, in New Zealand, some in Europe. So, but we have it, and recently I visited Europe, and in Milano University, I saw that they have the choka in their library, and they say that we teach this to our post-colonial studies to our students. So yeah, mostly artists and academics. They use choka or they rely on choka in their.
Often when we speak to refugees, asylum seekers, immigrants, we focus so much on the journey and the settling and what's dealt with there, and not so much on the loss and of what's left behind. And I'm wondering, Edel, for you as a child, when you were leaving, what sense of loss did you feel?
I think the biggest, the thing that always hurt me and it was difficult, it was leaving my grandparents. They lived right next door. I call them Mama and Papa, so they're like my second parents. And they didn't know we were leaving. We couldn't tell them because as soon as you told anyone else, they would tell someone else, and it would get through town, and then the squads would show up at the house to beat you up. So my parents kept it tight. They took me out of school, and once they knew this thing was happening, they're like, "Don't go to school." My sister, and they were trying to. So you never really had a moment to say goodbye to them until the military showed up, and they were ransacking your house, trying to make sure all your contents in there because they wanted to. They had an obsession with keeping all your stuff, and in all of that, you quickly say goodbye to your grandparents, and then I didn't see them again for 14 years. So I left when I was 8. I saw them when I was 20 something, and that was and every time whenever I was writing this book, I'd get to the moment where I'm writing about my grandmother, and I would start crying, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't work on the book for like 2 weeks, and then I'd do it again, and I couldn't do it, and I'm just in my studio, just really upset about all of this,
So lack of closure.
Yeah, and you lose a lot. I mean, that's the other thing is that people don't realize is you showed up in this country, you want this, but you don't talk about what all these people left behind, what they left behind in their country, the culture, the food. You're in this weird, displaced, land in the middle where you don't really know exactly where you belong forever. Sometimes it's for your entire life. You don't really feel like you fit in a certain place. But at the same time, seeing his presentation reminded me of the things we did in the detention camp for fun, or things you do in Cuba for fun. I've spoken to people that visit Cuba, and they're like, how could they be, upset? They look so happy. I'm like, yeah, you can't be happy. So you dance, you party, but you're also going through a lot. And the way you cope with difficulty in these places is by enjoying yourself, by having a good time for a little, for a little moment.
And have there been times as you've grown up where it's hit you in different ways?
The fact of leaving my family?
The loss, you've had a realisation of a loss of a different kind.
Yeah, there's moments all the time where you would like to have your family at an event, let's say, or you've accomplished something and you look around and they're not around, and definitely when they passed away. My grandparents passed away early 2000s, and we couldn't go visit them. We couldn't go to the funeral because of politics that were in the way. So it's pretty constant, all of these things, especially when you have births, deaths, and families, then you can't really celebrate or be together.
And so how much has your history and your experience of living under a dictatorship informed the kind of work that you do?
Funny you ask, because I was just thinking about that. There is, and I'm trying to, I always try to make people relate to it in some way. There's a trending thing towards authoritarianism in the world, in every country nowadays. And whenever I speak, I make people understand how important democracy is. We're all here because we can't say anything where we live, and that idea of voting, democracy is something that's taken for granted in other countries. And if you don't have that, what happens is people try to find other ways to access, speaking through a television set or leaving a country. You can't stop people from expressing themselves. And we have this right in the West to say whatever we want most of the time, and I don't see people take advantage of it. And in any way, sometimes they try to find ways to limit it, to limit expression, and I don't think that's a good trend.
You have talked about, so this is what I was getting at, you've talked about how when Trump first came to power, because of what you'd grown up with, you recognised kind of red flags quite early on. What were they?
Right away, I saw a lot of people laughing at what he was saying. That it seemed preposterous, and I was going, no, this isn't funny. This is exactly what Fidel Castro was saying. It's the same words. That the press is the enemy of the people. That was something directly said by Castro. Calling people, insulting people. Castro would call them worms. Trump would use all sorts of language against other people. It was, many things that he was doing, and I didn't see people recognizing it. I saw sort of people thinking it was silly or odd behavior, and I saw it as dangerous. So I began to make work on the internet related to that. In early 2015, right, when he was just showing up. And my goal was to get to a place where we dealt with the topic seriously, and also to show magazines how I felt that if I did it enough, it got into the bloodstream of publishers, and then they would be comfortable with publishing material that was very critical. In the United States, whenever someone runs for president, they're very hands-off. They want to respect the presidency. And so they set up a really nice photo shoot with the presidents like this, And I imagined all these feature covers that would show this character in a very official way. And it would bring, it would make him feel more legit through those pose shots on covers and all that. And I thought, how can I crash into that and show him in a different manner? And I basically just used the internet to do that. By publishing my work on the internet, it started getting so much attention and retweets and likes and all this and going viral that then at some point Time Magazine called me and said, we love what you're doing online with this character. We want to publish that on the cover. And I went, I have won. And I did the sketches, I did the final art, I sent it in, and the whole time I'm thinking, it's not going to get published. They're going to cut it. They couldn't possibly do this. And when they published it, it went like on the internet, it went everywhere, it was on all the news, and all the news started calling me, and just like nervously asked, did you do that? Are you the artist? I'm like, yeah, and then I would be interviewed, and it created this whole cycle, and then once the news find out that I was an immigrant that came on a boat, it created this whole like David and Goliath sort of narrative. So they all wanted to interview me and made the story even bigger, which I wasn't expecting that. I was just trying to get a magazine cover published. And here I am.
It's a wonderful story. We're fast running out of time, and I've got so many more questions. I might have time to take one or two. So if there's anyone, if anyone's got one, just kind of formulate it short and sharp, and I'll come back to you in a minute. But Agus, have you? I'm just wondering, how you have found working back in Aceh as a theatre maker when you're not doing your fake TV. What has been the impact of living in a region that's got Sharia law on the arts and your freedom of expression?
Yes, it's very hard to answer, Sharia law was done by government at that time to control the conflict, But right now, the people realize the Sharia law, it is not good for us. Sharia law has to practice by the culture, not by law. not by the police Sharia, not by the many things, yeah, but by the culture. And it is not then the Sharia law give impact to other sector, including for the artistic expression, yeah. Now all artists have to singing as a Sharia law. They have to dancing as a Sharia law. If anything was contradiction with Sharia law, will be forbidden. That we realize right now. It is now the new struggle for right now, and I think it will be take long time to finish this problem. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going to finish on you, Behrouz, who I think everyone would agree exemplifies resilience and hope in his story. You have become the voice of Manus, but you are so much more. Who are you now, and where are you looking, and what do you want to be? What is your life now?
Yeah, I live in New Zealand, in Wellington. I do something in the community there, so that is my daily life. I show film for people just as a free, so I just invite people. That is the daily thing that I do. But generally, I do my activism. Last year, I've been very engaged with politics in Iran and in Kurdistan about the movement Women Life Freedom. And I think that was really incredible that women all around Iran, they've been fighting, they've been leading that movement. But in terms of Kurdistan, again, it was a very difficult time for Kurdish people, because woman life freedom actually is a Kurdish narrative. So, and Gina Amini, who was killed in Tehran, was Kurdish, and the movement has started in Kurdistan with that slogan. Then the slogan became like a manifesto for all of Iranian women. And but that was very difficult because you know, always I say that we are colonized two times, once by Iranian government and secondly by Western media. Because the Western media, because of lazy journalism probably, they didn't want to understand that movement, different layers of that movement. And they didn't recognize the Kurdish narrative of it. And that's why when they gave or offer platform to Iranian women, that platform, of course, should go for Iranian women, but that just went for Iranian middle class Tehrani women. So Kurdish women were not on the stage at all. So over the past year, I've been very engaged with this, just to fight that, you know, force this media to recognize that side and understand it, because it's important that we understand it. But I visited Australia as well last year for the first time, and then I visited Europe. Just I've been doing events, talking with people, and this kind of work, and writing as well. Yeah, I do my own writing, but it's not about refugees.
What's it about?
Just fiction stories, because that's quite interesting. That is like a, if we say Western approach, that when you are minority or you are marginalized person, they put you in a box. So they expect that you write or you create something to fit them. So they expect that I always write about refugees, but yeah, I'm free to write about whatever I want. Yeah. might love a story.
I'm just going to put one final question to you, which
Yeah.
is, and I'm not sure if she's sitting in the audience, but there was a woman who came up to me yesterday after our session who didn't get to ask a question. Are you in the audience? No? And she wanted to, and I just thought it was such a powerful question, so I thought I'd ask it on behalf of her. And that is, do you think that you could ever forgive Australia?
Actually, I don't look at Australia in that way. I think always I say that I've been working alongside the good side of Australia against the dark side of Australia. And I think it's very important that we acknowledge that a big part of society in Australia have been fighting, even with this referendum that recently happened, that was a terrible outcome. But I think it's important that we should see that 40% of the society. So that is the approach to Australia. It's good to be politically angry. I'm politically very angry, but I think personally I feel peace in my heart.
I'm so pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I am going to squeeze one question in, and it was this. Yes. Just shout it.
Okay. This is for Agus. A little bit about your evolution as an artist, especially with this type of theater. How did you go from perhaps a student to using it in activism or therapy almost? Can you tell us about your progress as an artist?
Very quickly.
Yeah, but right now I'm seldom using this television, yeah. But in Aceh, the people in Aceh in 1-2 village still using this television, and also some village in Philippines using this television for their program, community program, and also in Tokyo, yeah, Japan Foundation Tokyo also use this program to all community people in Tokyo. And besides, I also make my art installation, where right now I can get money from my art installation, and for my storytelling until right now it's not for good for money, yeah. But I'm doing my artistic skill until right now, and yes, my old experience about the trauma healing and the conflict area was lost time by time. Then I start to rethink again now to write about my experience in the conflict area in Indonesia, not also in Aceh. Also in Kalimantan, in horizontal conflict, in Ambon, horizontal conflict, because I quite a lot to practice my theater on the problem area. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I did have the pleasure of a one-on-one with Behrouz yesterday, but I wish I had had the same time with the both of you, because your stories are just extraordinary. So thank you so much for sharing them, and thank you for being such a wonderful audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.